Well, thank you so much, Holly. For those of you guys that don't know me, I'm Jeremy McCullough. I'm the natural resource specialist with Aransas Bay. The ecosystem in which this proposed site is actually could be located actually. So here with me today, I have Zach Olson. He's the ecosystem leader here at Aransas Bay. You just heard from Holly Grand, and we also have Lindsay Campbell here, our mariculture biologist. So it looks like we're all here. I'll go ahead and start jumping in to this presentation now. All right. So first off, we wanted to define the rationale for why we were conducting this hearing and provide a roadmap of what to expect in this presentation. We would like to inform the public of the plans to implement a cultivated oyster mariculture nursery site in Copano Bay and some overall background information about the commercial oyster mariculture program. Answer questions we may have on this particular proposed site at the end, and inform everyone on how to submit a public comment on this topic. As Holly alluded to earlier, you will not be directly receiving verbal comments over Zoom tonight. So in the next couple of slides, we are purely going to be talking about some background information pertaining to, again, our commercial oyster mariculture program. So let's dive into that. TPWD is the permitting party that allows the activity of cultivated oyster mariculture at grow-out sites where spat or baby oysters are grown to marketable oysters for sale, and nursery/hatchery facilities where spat are reared or held to be sold to grow-out facilities in Texas. All operations in the water are off-bottom mariculture, i.e. floating cage or bag or platform programs, nothing on bay bottom. Applicants choose their own site within the estuary and conduct a natural resource surveys that is reviewed by Texas Parks and Wildlife. This ensures the facility isn't likely to impede or interfere with other natural resources like existing oyster reefs, seagrass, etc. Each permit is good for 10 years, and only eastern oysters from Texas are reared and grown in these facilities. This is to combat the chance of foreign oysters settlement on natural Texas oyster reefs. Here we have a couple pictures of 3 different gears commonly used for commercial oyster mariculture grow-out facilities. On the left, top left, we have our floating bag system where it's more or less literally a bag with some floats beneath so they can desiccate and then flip over to filter feed. On the top right, we have our floating cages, probably most commonly used here at the beginning of this program. Where very similar system, it just has cage with slide out bags that are floating that can be flipped right side up or down in a feeding position. And the last one is our adjustable long line system on the bottom. So a couple more background tidbits here. Fees are associated with the grow out facilities size. So hatcheries and nursery facilities are permitted and then feed by the size of that given facility. So bigger the size of the area, the more its annual fee is going to be. There are many hoops to jump through in this process, as TPWD isn't the only entity involved in the permitting process. So applicants must receive authorizations from the GLO, the Texas General Land Office, the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, TCEQ, the Army Corps of Engineers, and USCG, the United States Coast Guard. TPWD also implements an active use criteria wherein an applicant must show that their site is active or risks loss of their permit. And harvesting of market oysters, of market size cultivated oysters is legal year round, but must comply with all TDSHS, Texas Department of State Health Services regulations. So let's go ahead and speak to that for a moment. The Texas Department of State Health Services is tasked with monitoring our bays and estuaries water quality, which directly impacts human health, safety, or food safety of shellfish in these waters. TDSHS routinely samples our waters for contaminants, and based off this data, TDSHS classifies water bodies for harvest of oysters based on federally set parameters. These classifications are as follows: approved, conditionally approved, restricted, prohibited, and unclassified. These classifications do not affect access to the area or recreation within these areas, but they do affect recreationally harvesting oysters in these areas. TPWD is not a part of this process, as TPWD is not involved in water body classifications for human health. For more information regarding TDSHS, we recommend visiting their website here below at www.dshs.texas.gov/seafood-aquatic-life-group. Alrighty, that wraps up the background information about that we wanted to cover for Cultivated Oyster Mariculture Program. So let's go ahead and jump into this proposed site. The site proposed this evening is a nursery/hatchery site. This is a cultivated oyster mariculture nursery located off the shores of the city of Bayside, Texas, in Copano Bay proper. All waters in Copano Bay are their own shellfish harvesting area, TX32, and in this case, this nursery is in restricted waters due to its proximity to land. This isn't an issue as no oysters will be harvested from this site, and we'll get into that a little bit later. This site footprint is 0.08 acres in size. And here we can actually see a look at exactly where this proposed site would be, given some aerial imagery here. As alluded to before, this is right off the shores of Bayside City, or the city of Bayside, on the backside of Copano, a couple miles north of the Bayside Public Ramp. Zooming in just a little bit more here, here's a zoomed in look of the footprint of this proposed site with corner points for reference. Okay, so this site will be primarily accessed by way of private property, and although it's a nursery/hatchery site, there will be no water pumped in or out of this site. The gear used will be adjustable height seed cages with decking overlaid and side-by-side floats or floats on the sides of this piece of equipment. And the applicant does have plans to deter birds if they have an issue with bird aggregation. To give you guys a little bit better look at what our applicant is looking at doing here, this is kind of a side view of what you'll see with a water line associated. So this will basically be a floating deck on each side of this. You can see in the blue, beneath the water line, we have our floats. That's going to suspend our actual decking area. The yellow rectangle is the actual decking area. And in between, we have our adjustable height seed cages that they'll be able to access across this floating deck. Here's a couple more pictures to look at to give you a better idea of how they plan on accessing accessing their gear and their seed from their private property. Here you can see on the right on each of these figures we have land, and they plan to anchor each, at least have 2 anchoring points for each platform or 1 large platform. This gives them a little bit more maneuverability for different winds and things like that. They plan on using pipe stiff arms and land anchors to hold their structures in place. Okay, so oyster seed at this site, as mentioned before, will be hatchery reared Texas oysters only, and will have been tested for disease before introductions to the site. All oyster seed will be removed from this site before they reach 1 inch in size. Again, talking about those restricted waters before, why this isn't an issue. They're not actually growing oysters to marketable size to then sell and get eaten. These are going to grow out facilities to then get to that size. And lastly, cleaning of their gear will be done on land and not in water. Here we can see each, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, each applicant has to do a natural resource survey. And what that is the applicant must sample an area, speak with Texas Parks and Wildlife, and assure that there are no critical or other natural resources that would be affected by this given nursery or hatchery site or grow out facility site. So sediment samples were collected and with a modified post hole. The depth was from 3 to 4 feet. Sample composition was mostly mud. That's what you're seeing here on our bottom 3 photos. Just a ton of bay bottom mud here. No evidence of oyster habitat or seagrass was found at any of these points. And it's important to note that the picture on the top left here, those blue dots and pink dots are all where our applicant sampled, looking for natural resources in the area. Again, none came up. So steps forward here for N-0006, our proposed nursery hatchery site. We will go ahead and consider public comments if there are any. The deadline for public comments will be May 20th, 2024. And please, if you do have those public comments, please submit those to oyster.mariculture@tpwd.texas.gov. Again, that's an email, easy email to that email address. After we do that, we can then give a conditional permit or issue a conditional permit. It's important to know that again doesn't mean they can start mariculture activity at that point. And after that, the applicant has to secure all those other authorizations from, say, the GLO, USGC, and others, other state and federal agencies before their final permit then can and would be authorized and issued. And once we get that annual fee, we will then greenlight mariculture activity at this given site. Alrighty, so again, please, if you would like to give public comment on this proposed site, this is again the email/avenue to do that, oyster.mariculture@tpwd.texas.gov. If you have any questions here, this is where we'll open it up. Please use that Q&A portal that Holly was talking about before we got started here. And if they pertain to this topic, we will definitely try to get to them and give you the best answer possible. And I think that's all I have.
All right, y'all, we'll watch the questions here for a couple minutes and see if anybody has anything. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to use that question answer window on your screen. We'll give it a couple minutes. All right, y'all, I'm not seeing any questions. You want to close us out, Jeremy, Holly?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you guys again so much for joining us this evening. Like we mentioned before, you will be receiving an email from Zoom tomorrow with our Oyster Mariculture email address, a link to our YouTube channel where you can find a recording of this webinar, as well as a link to our Oyster Mariculture website that you can find on the Parks and Wildlife webpage. So with that, we're going to go ahead and close it out here. Thank you everyone for joining us this evening. Thank you to our presenter, Jeremy, and Zach for hopping on as well, and Lindsay, who's on the call too. We will see everyone next time. Thank you guys.